Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Hey, it's Joanne and Bree, and we are rerunning this episode on the 4 homework personalities. You know, Bree, I get questions all the time about what do I do if my kid throws tantrums during homework? What do I do if my kid refuses to do homework? And this episode gives you steps that you can take to solve those problems.
Yes, we hear all the time how much people love this episode because it really helped them identify what their kids' struggles are with homework. And while we're doing this over what's probably a winter break for you with your kiddos, it definitely preps you for getting ready for that second semester when school comes back into session.
Yep. So we hope you enjoy. Welcome to episode 3 of the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Bree Tucker.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
We're hanging in there this morning. I'm a little under the weather, honestly. But
it's tough.
It's tough.
It's rough when that's the case, for sure. So, and for once, I'm actually not dealing with any headaches or anything for once. So
yeah,
it's crazy. I'm normally the one who's like, I feel so great.
Well, we woke up all good this morning, and then my son had kind of a homework meltdown. This right at the beginning of school, which was it was very characteristic of him at the beginning of this online schooling. But since it began, he's been handling it better. Yeah. And then this morning, it was Mom, I can't focus. Mom, this doesn't make sense to me, and just breaking down crying. And I realized that something must have been off.
Because you were like, that's not his normal.
That's not his normal.
Yeah, he can have the meltdowns.
Yes.
But not to this extent. That's not his normal.
Yeah. Yeah. So I let him rest. And then after a little bit of resting, he's like, I have a stomach ache. And then I have a headache. And then me and all of my craziness, I'm like, am I getting sick too? Is it COVID?
Well, I was going to say, in this day and age, right now, any ailment makes you I started to say nauseous, makes you anxious.
Yeah, it makes you anxious.
Because the list of symptoms are insane. And then there's the other factor too of that. It's a little bit more difficult to get the care that you need now because, well, if you have 3 or 4 symptoms, everybody's like, nope, not going to see ya.
Exactly. So we're just going to keep a watch on it. I don't think it's COVID. I think it's just my my craziness talking.
Well, we did have this is monsoon season out here too. So we had a lovely storm that came through late last night. So threw some stuff up in the air. It's been a lot of wind lately, which never does well for those of us with allergies.
It gets a little icky. But today we are going to be talking about that resistance to homework. In fact, we're going to dial it down to 4 homework personalities that you can kind of look for in your own kids. And we're going to give you specific strategies on how to deal with each one.
That is great. I know that I have a couple of these at home. So that's the other thing too. You're going to hear this and I think you're going to have some definite key personalities, right?
Yes, definite key personalities, but it is going to be a good one. So let's go. You want mom life to be easier. That is our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible, and making our own lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. So let's talk about these 4 homework personalities and how parents can use them to deal with resistance to work. Now, these homework personalities, they come from the research that I did from my book last year called Drama-Free Homework. And it was after interviews with many parents and my experience as an elementary school teacher that I found that there were like 4 ways that kids were usually responding when it came to homework. And so I grouped them into these 4 personalities so that you could easily find them in your kids. And we also have a quiz for you to take on them.
Because who doesn't love a quiz?
Who doesn't love a fun quiz?
I love quizzes.
And you can find that quiz at noguiltmom.com/episode 003. But you may just be able to identify your kid's homework personality by hearing us talk about it right now.
Right. I can guarantee you're going to hear a few of these things and you're going to go, oh, yeah, totally my kid.
Totally.
Yep, sounds
totally.
Right.
And these personalities, like your kid might have a lot of them. In fact, different days, your kids might have a different personality. I mean, who has dealt with that before?
Or even different personalities with different subjects. Like,
yes.
My daughter will be one way with English lit, but then a completely different way when she's dealing with math and science.
Yeah. So definitely like their frustration and their tolerance level in regards to different subjects can have an impact on their personalities. So with that, let's just get into it. We have number 1 is the quick quitter. Gotta love the alliteration.
Oh, yes. And we all know this one. We have this kid. Every single one of us has had this kid at some point in time.
Yes. The kid who just gives up as soon as they are encountered by any type of struggle.
Can't do it. Drops the pencil and was like, done.
Or
finish it. Nope, can't do it.
I've seen kids throw pencils across the room. I've seen kids just like shut down completely.
This is typically when my daughter just will just throw things down and just say, I can't do it. I'm not smart enough. I don't know it.
Oh, yeah. This is, my son has these tendencies. And my daughter actually had these tendencies when she was a kindergartner.
But then it moved through.
She
moved on.
She's able to handle it a little bit better and notice this within herself so she can kind of self-correct a little bit.
That's really amazing. I think that's a really helpful tool to have to be able to be that self-aware.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But, I mean, quick quitter. If you are starting online schooling with your child and let's say this is the first day of your online schooling and your child just melts down, like gets mad at all the links they have to find for all their classes and just throws themselves on the floor, or in the case of our house, it was stomping to their room and slamming the door shut.
Yeah. That can definitely happen in the beginning. Doesn't necessarily, though, mean this is what you're dealing with all the time.
No, it doesn't mean it's what you're dealing with all the time. But the quick quitter, it's really that belief that they don't have what it takes to get the job done.
And I think a lot of times when you're dealing with this, you also then kind of become the parent that wants to come to the rescue and help fix things, right?
Yes.
We might answer the questions. We might be like, oh, just hear it. Or we sit down and we're attempting to help, but we find ourselves actually doing the problem for them.
Yeah, it's when the cheerleader comes out. Like, I have to fight this within myself, too, because my son will want to quit. And your first instinct as a parent is to be like, no, you can do this. Look, let's do this one right here. What's the next one? Right. And they're here going, no, I can't do it.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, you look down the paper and you've done 3 questions for them.
Yes. It becomes your homework instead of the kids' homework.
All right. So what can we do about this quick quitter? What are the things that we can do to work on it?
So what these quick quitters need to believe is that they have the capability to do the work. They need to believe that they can solve it for themselves. And many times it is a question of just mindset. It's that difference between the growth mindset and the fixed mindset, which if you're not familiar with it, there's a great book by Dr. Carol Dweck called Mindset. And basically, she breaks it down into people have either one mindset or the other. The fixed mindset says that you're as smart as you're ever going to be, and no amount of work will make you smarter. I mean, I had
that. Boo.
I had that mindset growing up, though.
Really?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Every time, like, I saw someone better than me, like, I shouldn't say it that way, but every time I saw someone have an easier time achieving something than me, I would take it as, I'm not good enough. Why should I even try? That kind of thing. So I really know what this fixed mindset person is going through.
That's a rough one. Well, I don't know. I always had that whole, I can't do it. Okay, I'm going to work really hard and I will figure it out. And that's done me well in a lot of areas. Not all, but there are a lot of things I could pick up that I was just awful at in the beginning. But
you're a very growth mindset personality.
I don't know where I even necessarily. My parents, I guess, are growth mindset. I don't know. I never really thought about that as a child. But yeah, it was always a matter of just keep working at it and you'll get it. And it's okay, then I guess I'll just keep working at it.
That's awesome, because I can tell you, though, the fixed mindset, just because you're born a fixed mindset or
doesn't mean you can't change it.
Doesn't mean you can't change it, because I am very growth mindset now. It's not my first go-to, though. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things that I can realize that I'm thinking in a fixed mindset sort of way, and I can correct it. We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays, because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Hey, Brie here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
Okay, so that's hilarious you're saying that, because I'm just going to give everybody a little insight here. So this is, podcast number 3.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit of a rough start trying to get these mics working and get
Audio's
things going.
hard, guys. Audio's hard.
Yes, it's very hard. And yet you have yet to stop. Like every time there is a problem, you're like, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to figure it out. And you're just over here plugging away, reading different links, different articles, figuring out how to fix it. And then sure enough, within the same day, you've got the problem fixed.
But I did not start I was not that way as a child.
So I'm just seeing that now, though.
Yes.
You have definitely embraced that growth mindset, and I see it in you on a regular basis.
And it's only because I was made aware of what the growth mindset is and the fixed mindset is. I was told that, hey, this thought that you have that you can't accomplish anything, it's complete BS. It's not.
It's crap.
It's
crap.
Because all you need to do is just keep working on it. And the only way you're going to fail is if you give up. But if you don't give up, you never fail.
Yeah, see? There you go.
So that's what the quick quitter needs. The quick quitter needs to know that there are these two mindsets, the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. That is one big thing that you can help your child with. The other big things are if they are trying to quit on a question, instead of kind of leading them along and telling them answers, you can point to information that'll help them solve it, such as math problems. It's usually math problems. It's like, okay, well, what do you need to solve this problem? Ask them that question.
Right.
And they might be, oh, like this number here, this number there. That's like ideal world they might be.
Right.
Most of the time it's like, I don't know.
Once you can get them calm, that I do love math, because I will say this, when you're dealing with math homework, the beautiful thing about math is that there's always an example page where they work through it step by step somewhere in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So depending upon what math program they're using, sometimes it's real easy to find what page to flip back to. Sometimes it's a little harder, but you can flip back to the page and be like, okay, this problem, and that's what I am. I always look for a similar solution to something. Yeah. So which problem looks like the problem I'm dealing with? Okay, let's go through that one together step by step, and then we'll just flip back and forth. So like, I'll do that when I was helping my son or my daughter with their stuff. We would go back and go, okay, read this part of the question. All right, this looks like that part. All right, so what do you think we do now? Mm-hmm. And most of the time, I would hear, I don't know. And I would just go, okay. And then they would notice they weren't getting anywhere with me. And they'd be like, maybe this. And I'm like, okay, let's try it.
Let's try it.
Just see.
Let's try it. But that brings up a great point, because if they are constantly pushing back and resisting, I'm giving you permission right now, mamas. Just skip the problem. Skip the problem. And sometimes the scariest thing for kids, at least my kids, when they're pushing back against my help, I'm like, okay, well, let's just circle this. And we can just tell your teacher that you were too frustrated during homework and you didn't get it done. And sometimes that's enough to be like, no.
Their eyes get huge and they're like, what?
Yeah, it is not your responsibility, parents, to do the homework. And if the kids don't want to do the homework, teachers will get them in class. Being a former teacher,
right?
I had my ways.
And I'm going to just go out here on a limb and say, maybe your kid isn't the first kid that's ever had that frustration, and the teacher might know that.
The teacher knows, yeah.
So then with us, I know as parents, sometimes we feel like it's a bad reflection upon us, right?
I know. Oh
my gosh.
Yes.
How could I let that happen? The teacher's going to think I'm a slacker. And the truth is,
the teachers expect it.
Right.
They totally expect it. And if, you know what? And if they're a newer teacher and they don't respect it, they just don't know what parenting is yet.
Because we've all been there. We were all the best parents in the world before we had kids.
Yes. We had so much parenting advice to give before we had kids.
I know, right? We were like, I'm going to get this down. Perfect.
So those are 3 things you can do if you have a quick quitter. You can help them find the facts. You can just leave the room and refuse to engage. Teach them about the growth mindset. Oh, I'm going to have 4 things in here. I lied.
Yeah.
And you could just have them skip the problem.
Yeah. And the whole mindset thing, though, let's just be honest, that works with every single one of these kids.
It works with every single one of them.
It's a big game changer.
This brings us to number 2. The other homework personality is the perfectionist.
The perfectionist. I believe I have one of those. Do you believe you have one?
I have one of those too. Our daughters, who are friends, are both perfectionists.
Yes, very much so.
Yes, and I mean, I know where my daughter gets it from. She gets it from me.
I don't think my daughter gets. I don't think I'm a perfectionist. I mean, I can be very particular about some stuff, but I don't think I fall under another category on this. But yeah, my daughter always, like, if she's not first or second, she feels like she's last.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to be perfect at everything.
Yeah.
And, you have a little note here that just cracks me up. Perfectionists view mistakes as the
They
devil.
are the devil. They have to have everything correct, else it's no good.
Yeah. It's just, those are the, and I do see that all the time. Like, even, let's just say, like, an art assignment. Erases it, scrubs it, like, the trash can is full. And I'm like, oh, I see we had art homework tonight. How are we doing? And, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. But it's a tough one.
It doesn't have to be perfect. And perfectionists have a really hard time taking feedback too, which makes them even harder to help.
Right.
I mean, I could tell you, like, perfectionism ran so strong with me that I never put myself in situations where I might fail. And because I didn't do that, like, this was like college, high school, early 20s, but I worked in the entertainment industry. I worked at a talent agency as an assistant. But before I got put on a desk, they had this position called floater. and you worked in the mailroom full time unless one of the assistants was absent for the day, and then they put you on a desk for the day. And so you had to take all of these agents' calls and like route them. And sometimes it was really fun because well-known people would call in. You'd be like, oh my gosh, hello.
I got to talk to so-and-so today.
But my first desk that I was put on as a floater, I dropped every single one of that agent's calls. Like, I dropped them all. I had no idea how to work the phone system whatsoever. And he was so mad. He called HR on me and wanted me kicked off the desk.
Oh.
It was bad. It was really bad. And when my boss in the mailroom told me that the next day, I cried the entire day. He sent me on errands out of the office just so he would not see me a crying face. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. But that was just my perfectionist streak. I thought that one mistake I made, that was the end of me and I was no good. And that's why I took it so incredibly hard. Yeah. But you got to go through it. You just got to go through it, because the next day I went back and I got a chance again, thankfully. And this one I rocked. Yeah. I totally rocked it. And when I got on a desk for reals, I was really good at phones.
Yeah, you're all like, that is going to be my thing. But I think that's true. I think that a lot of our mistakes do, like things we've struggled with kind of do define us. Like, oh, it was such a struggle that now I'm so good at it. Like, come to me for anything. I can totally get this down. Yeah, I had to work at it so hard.
Yeah, because the struggle lets you see where the hard parts are. And so then I feel like you can help other people through them easily. So perfectionists, they just need to experience pain and failure, unfortunately. Yeah. And they need to be pushed to do challenging things.
That's interesting. I can see that, though. Like, I would have on one hand thought that a perfectionist would have tried a lot, but on the other hand, I can see how, because there's a lot of fear of that failure, and you can't have the failure. Yes. You've got to be doing great at that. So.
And also re-emphasizing that growth mindset with perfectionists.
That's what I was going to say. So the growth mindset seems like it would help a lot with a perfectionist, like reminding them. And you had a really interesting story when you were doing the research for your book, talking about a study that was done with a group of children that were just told about it.
Yeah, that was in Carol Dweck's book, Mindset.
Okay. Oh, so in there.
And all they did with this group of students, I think they were middle schoolers, is they separated the class and they told one group about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And the other group, they just didn't tell anybody anything. And then they put two groups through a rather challenging like math program, like maybe it was 6 weeks long. And what they found is that students who knew about the growth mindset actually performed better than the group who did not know.
Regardless of where they were.
Regardless of where they were totally randomized. The teachers teaching them didn't even know who was told growth mindset or fixed mindset.
Wow.
Yeah. And
so just knowing that
it.
This exists and that you can get better at things and that you can work through it. Mm-hmm. Just has a difference.
Yeah. It's powerful stuff.
Mind over matter, people.
Mind over matter. That brings us to number 3, which sometimes perfectionists can lead into this one. This is the emotionally overwhelmed and overloaded kid.
This might be me occasionally.
This might be you.
When I'm dealing with my, because I'm going to say this, like we are talking about the homework personalities for your kids, but these also might ring a little true with you on your work habits.
Yes.
For what you do when you're doing your work. And I think that sometimes I can definitely be the emotionally overloaded person. Sometimes.
What's your response when you're emotionally overloaded?
I have to find something else to distract myself to kind of move away from it. Like, I don't...
You take breaks?
Yeah, I don't, break down and cry. Mm-hmm. But on the inside, oh, yeah. It's, it's welling up in there, and I get frustrated. I start tapping. I need to come up with something else so that I don't get too much. I think you've noticed that I'll pull my hair.
I'll notice now.
Groaning a lot. I'm like, oh... And if I'm in a work setting where I can be near my home or somewhere that I start cleaning.
Oh.
That's how I deal with it.
When you're really upset.
Yeah.
So you found coping mechanisms to help you deal with it.
Well, and as an adult, I would hope I would. Yes. So as my children, when I see them go through stuff like this, I try to help them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so kids, who are emotionally overloaded, they don't have these coping mechanisms.
So it looks like
you're seeing tantrums or you're seeing complete emotional shutdown where they just don't react to anything.
They just don't even try. They just kind of shut the book, move on.
Yeah. And so when you see this in your kids, it's a sign they're done. Right. They're done. There's no amount of cheerleading that's going to convince them. It's not a logical place they are right then. Right. And so the best thing to do when they get into that state is to have them take a break.
Right. And that's what we need, right?
Yeah.
As adults, I feel like we do start to feel ourselves get overwhelmed and we know when to step aside and take a break.
Yes.
But as kids, not only do they not know that, but I think sometimes as parents, when we see that, we're like, we see our kid not doing something and they're supposed to be doing their homework. We're like, why aren't you doing your homework?
Yeah.
We don't respect that break in our children. And it's not because we're mean. Mm-mm. It's not because we're like, just trying to make them do all of this work. It's because we don't realize that's what they need at that moment.
Yeah, and it comes from a really good place with us. We just want to make sure they get all their stuff done so that they don't get in trouble or fall behind. I mean, that's where it comes from.
Right, because we want our kids to be successful.
Yes.
And in all areas of life, we want our kids to be successful and happy. Yeah. So giving your child a break, that's really great there.
And it's okay to quit for the day too. I mean, our first day of online schooling, I let my son quit halfway through the day.
Okay.
Because it was a fight. It was a fight every second. And I just said, okay, you're done. We're done. I may have cried a little bit on the office floor, but I got over it.
Necessarily.
I got over it. And I emailed his teacher and just said, hey, this is a lot for a second grader. I know he's showing me these signs. And I think it's time, like, we just need a break for the day. Mm-hmm. And she emailed me back. She's like, I think that's a really good decision.
Right.
And most teachers will back you up on that. They'll be like, yes, this is really hard situation we're in. Right. And the young kids, they're having trouble.
Right. And the teachers only know so much of what's going on.
Yeah.
If you don't reach out and give them that other piece. Yeah. Really. I mean, even if they're in class, they only know so much. Like so even if your child is struggling, again, like looking at this as a homework thing, like back in the traditional setting, your child is at school and they do homework at home. The teacher doesn't know that the child is having breakdowns at home.
No.
Because maybe they're not presenting like that in the classroom.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
So communication is a huge help for that, right?
I tell my kids' teachers if I see like a repeated behavior at home, like a tantrum like 2 nights in a row, I will reach out and be like, hey, this is happening during homework. What do you suggest? Yeah. And usually their suggestion is they don't need to worry so much. I will talk to them.
So that helps a lot.
Yeah. And before these breakdowns, if you identified your kid as emotionally overloaded, and that's their first like reaction to things,
like what?
Like you can chunk their work for them, which is just taking a few problems at a time so that they don't see all of this schoolwork they have to do, but they're just like, okay, I have 3 problems in math. That's it.
I'm going to do 3 problems.
3 problems in math.
And maybe we take a break.
And then you take a break. Maybe you get to go play outside, or maybe you get a little gummy bear, which we did in our house.
Yep.
Yeah.
That works a lot too.
Yep. So, and you can give them just complete control of their work environment. Let them dictate when they work, where they work. Give them those choices. And I know some of you are listening and be like, what? No, you don't understand. They won't work otherwise. They might not, but giving them the choice first, you give them that responsibility and you show that you have that trust in them. As long as they have that chance, then you can see what happens when they get that responsibility, when they get that control, and take it from there and talk to them about, okay, well, I saw that you decided to sit over there and do it and you had a hard time focusing. Where could you sit where you could focus better?
Right. Another really great example with your youngest, when he had to do his homework, he chose a different schedule than most kids do.
He did. He chose.
And that was a little scary. You had to put a lot of faith in him on this one.
He did. When he was a kindergartner, he was just so tired at the end of the day that we were dealing with tantrums every night. And so I'm like, when do you want to do your homework? And he said, in the morning before school. I'm like, oh, this goes against like every traditional like advice.
And I would just be screaming in my head, that'll never work. What if you sleep in? What if this? What if that? And you know what? I'd be putting a lot of my own things on there. Yeah.
I let him do it. He's always been an early riser. And so once like he had to do it in the morning, he just sat down and did it right after breakfast. And he was done and I didn't have to be over him. And he had more energy because he had gotten a full night's rest. So it worked out really well for us. He did change after like kindergarten, first grade that worked for him. Well, kindergarten, middle of first grade that worked for him. And then he didn't want to do it in the morning anymore. And so he did change back to right after school. And then now with this, it's...
But now with this, it's...
When do you ever...
This is all like all new rules.
Yeah.
But that was really cool, though, to see that worked and that he was able to take control of that. And I can see why early in the morning that would definitely work. Especially like... And you know what's... Okay, I'm just going to roll back with this. Having something productive for that early riser to do, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, because that was always the rough part. My son would get up super early. He's in 8th grade now. It's like dragging him out of bed. But when he was little, he would get up at like 5:30. And I'd always be like trying to come up with something to keep him busy until we left for school at 7:30. So for 2 hours, I'm trying... Goodness gracious, there were so many... if I had let him do his homework in the morning, it probably would have worked out better for all of us. Because it was a little bit of a struggle to get him to do it after school. Back in kindergarten. So
letting him do it in the morning.
Yeah.
My son has no problem filling his mornings. He just eats 3 breakfasts.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
It's a thing.
Okay, now number 4. This one is my oldest.
Yeah.
This one is so the 4th type of homework personality is the Oblivious Dreamer.
Yes, they don't care if they miss assignments. Like that teacher thread about not doing a problem doesn't really bother them.
Like, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care if they miss assignments. They don't care. It just
Nothing.
I don't see the point. What's the point of all this?
No. So the best thing with them is that they need a connection for the work, whether that's like a small reward for doing the work. And I'm talking really small and something that they decide on themselves. Like say they really like Roblox, setting up something where when you do your homework, then you get to play Roblox. Roblox is your reward. And connecting it to something that they love at first. Eventually, with Oblivious Dreamers, they will find their motivation in homework. Mm-hmm. And I say eventually because it might sound like a very, very long and hard time until they do. Especially if you have been used to motivating your child through the process and trying to get them to care about the work.
It's painful every step of the way when you're trying to motivate an Oblivious Dreamer.
It is.
But it's important to take a step back and realize what you're working with. Like, I think that this personality, this homework personality it gives you the most amount of, once you realize that this is what you're doing with your child. Because you're like, oh, okay, so I'm not going crazy. Mm-hmm. There are other kids that are like this. Yeah. And it's not me doing something wrong, not motivating them enough. It's an internal thing. Okay, it's not just me. It helps to hear that, because you think, I'm just a terrible parent. I am completely slacking on this, and my child will never do anything ever in the world because nothing motivates them. Like you said, they just need it at the time.
It's that slippery slope of thinking, yeah.
Yes.
Just because they're not motivated by school does not mean nothing motivates them. They are motivated by something.
Right.
It's just kind of like the detective process to figure out what that something is.
So that's interesting, because then I'm going to slightly relate this again with my own. But with my oldest, who is the Oblivious Dreamer, when he was younger, it was really hard to get homework done because he didn't really care.
Yeah.
And he went through a big problem with that, probably with 5th and 6th grade. Once he hit about halfway through 7th grade, he kind of found his niche finally and figured it out. And I gotta say, like, he's been really successful now. We do a lot of just letting him do his own thing. Mm-hmm. And he has his reward system. He knows when he gets to have his hobby time, which tends to be working on making YouTube channels.
Hey, that's a thing.
I'm laughing because, like, he full-heartedly is like, I'm going to be a YouTuber when I grow up. And I'm like, all right, you let me know how that works out. In the meantime, you're going to keep going to school and hope for something else to pique your interest.
You could go back to him and he's like, I'm going to be a podcaster when wait.
I know. He's going to be like, well, it works for you, Mom. You enjoy it. But, I mean, so another thing, too, like, going back to just trying to find those little pieces. And I think that's what helped. Like, as time went on, we found little pieces that motivated him. Mm-hmm. One thing, he's terrible at spelling. Doesn't like spelling. Hates spelling homework. Can't stand it. But we found that he loved Minecraft. So he built a world in Minecraft with a little, like, board in that world. And that's how he got to, that's how I got him to study for his spelling test. Like, okay, well, when it's time to study for spelling, let me know. Turn on your computer and we'll do it in Minecraft. So he would go to Minecraft. I would give him his word and he would type it in. And just feeling like he was won there, I'm not sure, just the motivation that it was Minecraft, it made it so he actually looked forward to this activity that he hated for years before that.
That is amazing. I think that story gives people so much hope who have oblivious dreamers. That just because they're not motivated now does not mean they won't be motivated in the future.
Yeah, he is so motivated now. He can do it all on his own. I don't even have to check in. Like, again, we're doing the online schooling right now, and he was already done with all of his work by this morning, and it's Thursday morning, which means he gets to have the rest of Thursday and tomorrow pretty much off.
That's
pretty
amazing.
Much. Yeah.
It's amazing.
But an interesting thing to go with that, the Oblivious Dreamer, we do have something to help people with that. The homework.
The Make Homework Fun Pack. And we'll put a link to that in the show notes, which you can find at noguiltmom.com/episode 003. It's a free, fun, it's called a Make Homework Fun challenge. Really what it is it's a goal setting process for kids. And they make a work study goal where it's like about being focused or completing assignments. It's really their choice what they want to make the goal about.
So I hear it's about choice.
It is
making
about
their
choice.
Own choices, and then just finding their right technique. Like, we give the power to them.
We give it to them.
Here's a whole bunch of really cool ideas. Try them. Don't try them.
Try them, yeah.
Maybe they'll inspire something else.
They name their own reward with it, too.
Yeah.
So it's really helpful. And we'll put a link for that in the show notes as well. So those are the 4 homework personalities: the quick quitter, the perfectionist, the emotionally overloaded child, and the oblivious dreamer.
Very curious to hear from people what they have.
Oh my gosh.
What their kids are like at home.
You should go and leave a review of this podcast and put in there what your child is and what you found they were. We would love to hear about it.
And I'm also very interested, from my background's in psychology. It's my undergrad, and I did a lot of studies on gender and personalities. So I'm very curious as well.
Yes.
How many are boys and how many are girls that are the perfectionist and the oblivious dreamer? I have some of my own hypotheses. I would love to see how those play out.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think you see certain personalities, these homework personalities at certain ages a lot more, and I do feel like I hear a lot more of certain genders with certain ones of these. So I don't want to throw out my bias to anyone. So I'm just curious to see what kind of feedback we get.
Yes, leave a comment, leave a review, and in future episodes, we're going to take your reviews and read them, and maybe we'll have some good No Guilt Mom goodies for you for leaving a review. So until next time, remember that the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk to you later.
Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday, who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.